Hello, my name is Jesus Mejia, and this is Sport Marketing in 2000, summer 2014. And this is a little talk on tips for press releases. Now, first of all, what is a press release? A press release is a important event, person, or happening that you do a write-up on and send out to media outlets so it can be publicized. So there are some good traits of this, and there are some bad traits. So on the internet, there's quite a few lists in regards to press releases, some regarding sports, some regarding just press releases in general, and many times the suggestions, both good and bad, are fairly similar. So there's one list that I chose, and it encompasses many of these good points, and that's what we're going to go off today. So one of the first things is have a good headline. Now, you want a headline like Kobe scores 40 or Jones sets new record, and it's going to appeal to the reader to want to know more. So that first grab, because most people looking at a magazine or looking at a website are just going to peruse and browse a little bit and say, look at something, say, oh, that's something that I want to take a look at. All right. Next thing is put the most important thing at the beginning. All right. Do not wait and hide all the good stuff at the end. You want to talk about the what, the where, the how, the why right at the beginning, and then fill in the details. Not only for the reader, but any press organization is going to want to get to the meat of it. They might be receiving many of these from all over the place, and why is yours special? So you want to get to the point fairly quickly. All right. Next thing, write in an active and engaging style, but be concise. Now, this is going to come up a lot, both in the good and the bad, that you have to be concise. And what that means is that you want to tell a story, you want to get all the information, you want to do these things, but you cannot be long-winded. If you're trying to tell your story in 10 pages, then more than likely it's not going to make it. Now, there are a couple of reasons. Number one, again, people who are reading these to see which ones they're going to use don't have time to read a very long story. They just have time to look at snippets, and that's why you want stuff at the beginning and you want a brief. The other thing is that many of these press releases might be used in websites or in a standard, word count on a page. So more than likely, it has to be concise, or it's not going to fit where they want it. So even if they like your story, if it's going on a website and it's way too big for the blocked out area, it won't make it just because it's too long. So you really want to make it concise. All right. Keep your press releases 2 pages or less. One of the good things, and everybody here is pretty much taking the sports management class too, so there are some relations there. If you notice, she's kept us to 300 to about 300 words or less, 200, 300 words, and that may not be the magical number. Maybe it's 300 to 400, but what it does, it gets you in a frame of mind of looking at, okay, how do I use all these resources being words, correctly, effectively, but still stay within a range. So you want to find out what that range is for you and what media outlets you're using, and if you write to that, you're going to be better off putting good media press releases. All right. Include a contact. Now, if they want more information about the story, let's just say that Jones did hit a record, and they want to know some of his background. They want to know how he did in his freshman year, his sophomore year, how he's progressing. Maybe they want to do a lead story on him. Maybe it's like, hey, this is a great human interest story. Or maybe a national paper like the LA Times or the New York Times saw a very touching story and they say, we want to do more on this. If they just see the press release and there's no information on where it came from, that could be problematic. So you always want to put contact information. So you might just get contact by the LA Times or the New York Times or some big paper. So that's a good thing. All right. Let's take a look at what's next here. Proofread. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Now, can't say this enough. You want to be considered a professional. In physical education and athletics, sometimes it's very hard to do. And we have enough things going against us already, and people looking at us as non-professionals. So the one thing that we have to do is when we put things out, when we put anything out, but especially things that we're going to go out into the public, into a media organization, you have to proofread and look at, are you using the correct syntax? Are you using the correct spelling? Are you using the correct concepts in trying to describe something? Now, one of the tricks of the trade here is to have somebody else read it. Don't just read it yourself, because many times we can be so excited about doing something. We write it up, or we write it so many times before it goes out, we know what we're saying in here, but on there it's not saying the same thing. So it's a really good practice to have somebody else proofread before you send it out. Okay. Now let's take a look at some of the bad things, or what are some of the mistakes in doing a press release. Um, First of all, there's the lack of a local angle. So for most of us, we're not going to be doing national news, but we're doing local. A local flavor, whether it be junior college, whether it be a university, whether it be so um, high school. So we're not sending out a press release regarding Jonestown, you know, uh, batting percentages and how well they're doing to Smithtown, over 30 miles away. They're not going to care. So you want to have a local flavor and a local connection. If you can connect it beyond sport and connect it to, say, something in the community, say like if Jones broke the record at the new local, YMCA track center, that would have some local connection because they're getting press out of it for the YMCA. Jones is getting some press out of it for doing a long jump, and everybody's happy. So it's bringing more of the community together, and that's what you want to do. Insufficient or inaccurate information. So when you do the story, and yes, you want to get all the information right at the beginning, make sure it's accurate. Okay, if you put they scored 40 and then you start reading the first sentence, it was actually 36. Well, that's not going to look too good on your part. Also, where was it played at? Who was pitching? All the details, all those things you want to grab down. And if you do put it in there, you want to make sure it's correct. You just can't guess and say, "Well, I think Mr. Hidalgo is the coach over there. Yeah, he's the coach." No, you got to research that, call somebody, and make sure Mr. Hidalgo is the coach. It'd be really bad of you to say Mr. Hidalgo, the coach of the baseball team, said blah 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 blah, and he's not actually the coach. That'd be real embarrassing for the school and real embarrassing for you because your name is attached to that press release. Okay. Um, Brevity. Now, I know we talked about this in the good, but it's also in the bad. Now, you want to have a balance between telling an accurate story. It's good to say this again and again and again. Between telling an accurate story and being brief. Okay. Now, you look at it and you step back, and if you can tell somebody this story, say in an elevator conversation, it's probably a good press release. If you have to have a speech, class and tell it in a more long-winded, probably not. You want to be able to tell somebody in a very short time what the information is, some of the detail, and get it out there, and have a good, headliner right there. So again, it's a balance between brevity and a good story. All right. Lack of timeliness. Now, press releases are time sensitive. Obviously, if there is a big win with cross-time rivals and it happened on Monday, and you don't get the press release out till Friday, more than likely everybody in that area already knows that what the outcome of the game was. So you have to be timely and get these press releases out. Um, our sports is a commodity that once it's over, it's you got to jump on it. And in the same thing now, especially with social media, you got text, you got Twitter, you got Facebook, you got all these different social media sources. They're going to go out. So it's very important that you keep on pace with those things and send that media press as fast as you can to get out there. Okay, now that's what I have for a quality press release and a poor one. I hope it sheds some light on some things, and I thank you very much. My name is Jesus Mejia. This is for sports marketing at Cal State University Dominguez Hills, summer session 2014. You have a nice evening,